Now let's suppose you are God, for just a moment. Imagine you have all of time, all of eternity, and unlimited power at your disposal. Every possible existence is yours to command. What would you do with that kind of freedom? Perhaps you'd start with your deepest desires, all the joys and pleasures you'd ever dreamed of, instantly yours, without struggle or delay. Think about it. Nothing out of reach, nothing forbidden, just pure, unending bliss on your terms. You could dream up a perfect paradise in the blink of an eye, luscious feasts never end, flowing like ambrosia. Entrancing love affairs with partners crafted from your ideal fantasies, adventures across worlds of your own design. Music so exquisite it sends shivers down your spine, colors and landscapes beyond anything a mortal mind has ever imagined. It's all there, and it's all for you, because you are the author of it. Night after night, you revel in the ecstasy of your own creation. Every wish granted before it's even fully formed. Every thrill delivered the instant you desire it. You experience pleasures so intense, joys so profound, that no ordinary life could ever compare. It feels like heaven, your own personal heaven, where you are the absolute ruler of reality. But after countless nights of perfection, something strange begins to happen. A faint restlessness stirs inside you. An unexpected feeling creeps in, growing with each perfectly predictable day. Boredom. Yes, even paradise can grow dull when it holds no surprises. When every wish is fulfilled without effort, every adventure plotted out before it begins. Eventually, it all becomes routine. The shine of heavenly perfection begins to fade. You find yourself yearning for something unpredictable, something that isn't already under your complete control. Though you decide to spice things up, you introduce a little uncertainty, a little risk into your dreams. Just enough to make your heart beat faster. You realize that without the element of the unknown, even omnipotence feels empty. You dream up adventure. This time you won't just lounge in golden palaces being fed grapes. No, you cast yourself as a hero, a quest. There are challenges to overcome, threats to face down. You give yourself danger and suspense, obstacles that test your wits and courage. Maybe in one dream you're slaying dragons to rescue a village from destruction. You feel the heat of the dragon's breath, the adrenaline pumping as you risk your life to save others. In another, you're an explorer, braving uncharted lands, not knowing what lies beyond the next mountain. For the first time in your existence, you feel genuine excitement, because now there is something at stake. For a while, that absolutely satisfies you. The rush of being a hero, of flirting with danger and coming out triumphant, adds the flavor you craved. You revel in the glory and the adrenaline. But as the novelty fades again, you realize even grand adventures follow a script when you're the one writing it. You always know you'll win in the end, because after all, you're still secretly in control. So you raise the stakes. You give yourself more outrageous challenges, deeper uncertainty. You relinquish a little more control so that the outcome isn't always a foregone conclusion. You let the dragons grow bigger, the labyrinths more twisted, the battles more brutal. Anything to feel that edge of uncertainty again. Finally, you dare yourself to take the ultimate risk, to truly not know what's coming. You say to yourself, tonight, I'm going to dream a dream that I don't know is a dream. You're going to blindfold your own omniscience and see what happens when you stumble in the dark. In this dream, everything feels real and you have no memory that it's all your own creation. You completely forget that none of it can truly hurt you. You give yourself over to the illusion entirely. When danger comes, you feel actual fear clawing at your heart. When loss strikes, you weep as though your pain will last forever. When you fall in love, you love with desperation, as if you could truly lose it all. For the first time, it's all real to you. And what a shock, when after this intense dream you finally wake up. You open your eyes, still trembling from the terror of heartache you just felt. and for a moment you don't even know where you are. Then it hits you. It was just a dream. Perhaps you laugh out loud in sheer relief. All that danger and pain, and yet here you are, safe and whole. Hard to believe that moments ago you were utterly convinced it was real. You lie there catching your breath, amazed at what you just put yourself through. You've discovered something precious, the thrill of true uncertainty, and the blissful relief of surviving it. For the first time in eons, you feel genuinely alive, precisely because for a while, you forgot who you were. Naturally, being the adventurous spirit you are, you decide to dive even deeper into this experience. If one night of not knowing was that exhilarating, why not push it further? Night after night, you craft increasingly elaborate dreams where you abandon knowledge of your true self. You live entire lifetimes within these dreams, with every detail filled in. Whole decades pass in these imagined worlds where you have no idea that you are the creator. You experience heights of joy you never knew before, because now joy is earned against the odds, and you plunge into pits of suffering you never thought you could endure, because now the pain feels real and unbearable. You explore every extreme. One dream you're living in luxury and power, another you're a beggar in the streets. You know the ecstasy of first love and the anguish of heartbreaking loss. You taste victory and defeat, courage and despair. Every flavor of existence, you drink it in as if it were real. Time after time, when each dream life ends, you wake up and it all washes away like fog in the morning light. No matter how dark or painful the dream was, it doesn't leave a single scratch on the real you. Each time you emerge as you've always been, the infinite, untouched self, safe and sound outside the dream, looking back at it with a hint of cosmic amusement. The nightmares were horrifying while they lasted, but they were never truly real. They were just a show, your own divine play. So then, let me ask you directly, how do you know that's not exactly what you're doing at this very moment? Think about it. This life you're living now, with all its thrills and ordeals, its ups and downs, what if it's just one of those dreams? What if right now, you are the all-powerful being, dreaming so convincingly that you've completely forgotten who you really are? I know, it sounds absurd at first, maybe even arrogant or insane. Your rational mind is kicking and screaming in protest. You feel the solidity of the world around you, the weight of your responsibilities, the sting of your past hurts. And you think, no, this has to be real. I can't just be dreaming this. My struggles, my pain, my plans, they matter. Of course they matter. A dream feels real when you're in it. Haven't you ever woken up from a nightmare with your heart pounding, grateful it wasn't true? Or woken from a beautiful dream aching because it ended? While it lasts, a dream is utterly convincing. Only when you wake up do you see it differently. So I'll ask again, what if some part of you is already awake, watching this life like a vivid dream? What if the real you, the greater you, is gently trying to nudge you into remembering? Maybe little hints have appeared, moments of déjà vu or uncanny coincidence, whispers from the part of you that knows this is a game. What if you are far more than just this flesh and blood character? What if you are the dreamer, not just the dream? Consider the possibility that you're a single player who has been every character, a single vast consciousness that is even now imagining itself to be you, and to be everyone else as well. In ancient wisdom, especially in the East, there is a name for this cosmic game: Lila, the divine play. It is said that Brahman, the ultimate reality, plays all the parts in existence. In other words, the one self, the true God, is playing hide and seek with itself through every person, every creature, every thought, every experience. Think about it. If you are truly God and there is something outside of you, how do you avoid being alone? You play a game with yourself. You'd split yourself into a myriad of pieces, You'd pretend you are not you. You'd become literally everyone and everything, just so you could have others to interact with, adventures to live, stories to tell. You cast yourself as a hero and a villain, king and beggar, lover and enemy. Each life you live, you wear a different mask, and you wear it so well that you forget who's behind it. In this grand game, you, the one, have lived through every possible experience. You've been the child and the old man, the prince and the pauper. You've known every joy and every sorrow because it's all your cosmic play. You wander so far from yourself that you honestly believe you're just a poor little me, a tiny separate creature born to suffer and eventually die. That's part of the game's thrill. The deeper the illusion, the more powerful the moment of awakening. You get yourself so completely lost in these farthest out adventures, some unimaginably beautiful, some unspeakably horrific, that eventually in each storyline something in you starts to seek a way back. And eventually, in one form or another, you do find your way back. Sooner or later, the hide and seek comes to an end, and the seeker finds what was hiding. Because in the end, the dreamer always wakes up. The play eventually ends and the actors step off the stage. The masks come off, and only the one self remains, finally remembering who it really is. Sometimes that moment of awakening comes at the very end of a life. In the moment of death, the instant the curtain falls. Perhaps then you recall, with a cosmic chuckle, that it was all one big act. But the awakening doesn't have to wait until the end. It's possible, just possible, to wake up right here and now, in the midst of the dream. To realize while the story is still unfolding, that you are both the storyteller and the hero. Allan Watts put it simply, when you're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up, not a moment sooner. You see, until you're ready, you'll continue to play your part. Continue pretending you're just this isolated, powerless being at the mercy of a world outside your control. You'll stay lost in the character, convinced that all you are is this fragile form, this fleeting story. You'll insist the dream is all there is, until the day something in you finally decides to open your eyes. So ask yourself plainly, are you ready to wake up? Or does the comfort of your familiar story still hold you back? Be honest. It's okay if you feel hesitant. This is the biggest leap there is. It's completely understandable to be scared. The ego, the little me you think you are, clings desperately to its identity. It fears its own end. To the ego, waking up feels like dying, because in a sense, it is a kind of death. It's the death of the illusion, the end of the little narrative that you've been telling yourself your whole life. When that illusion shatters, it can be terrifying. The small self doesn't want to vanish. The thought of losing who you think you are, even if that self is full of pain and limitations, is frightening. Better the devil you know than the unknown beyond. That's how most people feel, consciously or not. And so most people shrink from this truth. They'll do anything to avoid questioning the reality of their lives too deeply. They'll distract themselves endlessly or double down on their beliefs and routines, all to avoid facing the possibility that things are not what they seem. They cling to their identities and their stories, even if those cause suffering, because at least they're familiar, at least they feel solid, like ground underfoot. They prefer a familiar misery to an unfamiliar freedom. They would rather blame fate or blame others or even blame God than entertain the idea that they might be the ones pulling the strings. The responsibility of being the dreamer is too great, too shocking. So they stay asleep. Most people will live and die never suspecting that they were the very thing they were seeking. But then there is you, and I suspect you are not like most people. Most would have clicked away from this video by now, too uneasy or disinterested to continue. But you're still here. You've listened this far, and that tells me something. It tells me that some part of you is already stirring from that dream. You haven't come all this way just to slip back into ignorance. Something in you hungers for the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. Something in you is daring to peek behind the curtain of this reality. Maybe you can't articulate why, but you feel it. That pull towards something real, something vast and undeniable. With that desire for truth comes a kind of power. Yes, this knowledge we're talking about is unsettling. It can turn your world upside down, but it's also profoundly liberating. It means that nothing in your life has ever been merely random or meaningless suffering. Every joy and every pain had its place in the grand play, and none of it was ever able to truly hurt the real you. How could it, if the real you is the one dreaming it? All of it, the triumphs and tragedies, the loves and losses, has always been you, expressing yourself in different forms. You were the hero and the villain, the giver and the taker, the victor and the victim. You've been every mask in the play, without ever ceasing to be the one who is playing. This understanding, as daunting as it is, puts your whole life in a new light. If you truly grasp this, even for an instant, you'll feel a weight lift off you, because you'll realize you were never truly trapped. The walls that felt like a prison were made of shadows, of dreams and illusions. In reality, you're free. You always have been. The real you cannot be contained by any situation or defined by any story, because it is the author of all stories. Now that you begin to see the game for what it is, the question becomes, how will you play it, knowing what you know? Will you pretend you never heard any of this? Will you dismiss it as just a fancy thought experiment and rush back to the comfort of normal life? Will you hit the snooze button and roll over, refusing to wake up just yet? Or will you choose to live differently now? Will you live with the daring and freedom of someone who understands that at the deepest level, they cannot lose? Will you face life's ups and downs with the courage that comes from knowing it's all part of a greater play? Do not let this just be an interesting story you heard and forgot. Do not let the ego scurry away with new excuses. Do something with this realization, even if that something is as subtle as pausing to really look at your life right now with new eyes. Because here's the truth. If you stay still, you fall back to sleep. And if you fall back to sleep, you know what awaits you. Another life on autopilot. Before we close, leave a comment, just one sentence, not a reaction, not a slogan, just one brutally honest line that marks the moment you stopped lying to yourself. If any part of this struck a deep chord in you, consider subscribing, not for my sake, but for yours, because this journey is just the beginning. We'll be here digging up more truth, and you clearly crave it. Go now, live your life awake in the dream, and when you're ready for more, when you're ready to dive back into the mystery, come back. I'll be right here, as I always am, on the edge of the dream, where it all begins.